Jessica DeAngelo. How are you?
So good.
So good. I am so happy to be sitting here with you. This has been a long time in the coming.
It has been.
Your book is out today, right now.
Right now. Today is the first day. It's out.
God bless it. By the way, I do love the cover.
Isn't the cover amazing?
The cover is pretty incredible. But The Wild Advantage, this book was great for a number of reasons, many. But the first of which is that you write exactly like you speak, which is a difficult thing for people to do. So it was a pleasure actually hanging out with you for like a week as I read the book. I'm
good.
Bless you. And I would like try to start saying things back. I'm like, this is not actually.
She's not going to answer.
This is text on a page that's printed by a machine. Talk to me about this book. And again, a little preface. You come from the most intense, straight up corporate structure. I mean, think smiley face boxes and fruit companies. And you are delved into sales, into consulting, all of these things. And you came to a point when you realized you're like, hey, something's wrong. Like something is fundamentally wrong with how we're engaging in this work, how we're engaging with ourselves, how we can relate to the vision we had for our lives in the world and utilizing corporate America as a means to an end of engaging in a good life and what it actually is. And you came up with this thing that, by the way, when you told me initially, I totally trashed on. And you have become this national phenomenon in business consulting. Talk to me about The Wild Advantage.
Thank you. Okay. So, wow, you make it sound incredible. I love that.
Love
that journey for me. Okay. So talk to you about The Wild Advantage. When I first started writing the book, which was over a year ago, it sort of started out I called the book Hike to Become. You and I've talked about that story. It started as my story.
Right.
And then I kind of hit this roadblock where I didn't feel creative anymore. I couldn't write anymore. It just didn't feel like the message. Simultaneously, I was doing all of this consulting and keynote speaking and business strategy stuff with people on the trail, including you. And I started to realize there were trends happening, like very substantial trends. And I thought, wow, I need to research why this is happening. Like I love data, I love research. And I was like, I need to dig into every peer-reviewed article I could find about what happens to our brains on nature and understand why I'm seeing my clients experience this. So that pivoted the journey.
If I may, I remember you telling me about this. You're like, I'm in the middle of this book and it's something else. Like something else is happening. And I was like, what? You're like, and again, you couldn't articulate it well. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on with you, but like something's happening. You're like, it's different. Like I thought it was one thing and it's not.
Yeah. You were like, what are you, crazy?
For like the fourth time.
Before like the fourth time in our friendship. But yeah, so it was like, it was a weird thing for me because it felt like it was my slap in the face moment from the universe of like, stop writing a book about your journey and start writing a book about everyone you're sharing the trail with. And once I made that pivot, I also accepted that this may sound silly, but the book is not mine. The book is everyone's who has shared the trail with me and trusted me with their business, with their ideas. So it pivoted away from just me and my story into everyone that I've shared the trail with. And it became so much better because of that. And I had this kind of epiphany that I poorly articulated to you clearly. But the epiphany was, while I am the author, I'm just the guide. And I need to let this book flow out of me, right? Versus like fighting what I think it should be. And that's when the book became better.
There were a lot of like aha moments for me when I was going through this book.
I can't wait.
One of them in particular that I've been dying to tell you about is you have an observation and articulation in the book about the limitations of current business consulting, which is essentially you might have a C-suite individual who's like, okay, look, we need to get there's a problem in the team. We need to find somebody to like solve the problem. And then they bring in a classic consulting firm and they're like, yeah, we're going to have like a team building day or we're going to do whatever. And like everybody, or we're going to give them plants or we're going to like redo the office. We're going to put up posters of nature and, dim the light, whatever it might be. But you bring somebody in that theoretically is going to solve the problem for the people, and then that person goes away. But it's totally like, do you ever see The Simpsons when Homer goes to see a chiropractor? This was like an episode from the 90s.
I don't remember that episode.
And
but
he goes to see a chiropractor, and the chiropractor like cracks him all different ways. He's like, now you'll just have to come back 3 days a week for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
He like walks away. And it's this hook of like, okay, the centralized value proposition is the consultant. The consultant is the constant solution. There is no solution outside of revisiting with the consultant, right? So you're giving fish. This is the classic, like, they gave you a fish. There was no teaching you to fish, right? Mm-hmm. And the realization that your methodology in the Wild Advantage centers around teaching people how to resolve their own problems. So it's like, if you keep coming back every other month, then you're obviously doing your job, substandard, because the real advantage here is if each person becomes their own business consultant, if each person becomes their own guide in this journey, and just you help them in the right direction, then you have a team of, let's say, 10 people that aren't waiting for the next time Jerry, the consultant, comes back, but each of those 10 people, they are Jerry. They're all their own Jerry in their own lives and capable of bringing up their own level of efficiency, happiness, and clarity within their work. And that's it. You don't need other people once you learn how to do that.
Correct. So I think I took it back to my own experience. Also, I've had a front row seat in corporate America watching consultants swoop in to, air quotes, solve a problem and royally mess it up. Do you like how I like...
I got you.
Yeah, you got
you. I've got you.
Not on air, just. But I've witnessed consultants in corporate America just swoop in to solve said problem.
Right.
And make a series of disastrous changes because they didn't understand the company or the culture. They may have only understood the problem they were solving for. And so when I framed it in my own experience, I had a problem. So taking it back to the beginning of the book, my problem was I felt like I wasn't being present in my life with my kids, with my husband. I wasn't inspired or motivated in my work. Sent me up to the foothill in the freezing cold snow, and to really just contemplate what was wrong and how do I fix it. That's when I realized the problem was I kept looking to all these external factors to fix my problems, right? And sure, there's great people to work with and partner with, but we have to stop like paying other people to solve our problems before we just give ourselves space and time to consider the problem in real time without any noise or inputs. And the premise of the book is the best environment to do that, how long it takes you to do that, and creating that space for yourself so you are self-sufficient versus constantly relying on other people.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the standard, consulting experience within corporate America, a lot of times people come in, they're like, we have a big problem. We need radical change. We need big change. And that incentivizes or encourages the consultant to come in and be like, okay, we're going to make big changes. Big things are going to happen. We're going to do big movements. We're going to have big, extreme, radical, the whole thing. When in reality, it appears, especially in going through your book and hearing your own experiences, it appears it's like, no. It may not be the 99%. It might be the 1%. Like if you and I are trying to go for a walk, okay, we're just going for like a three mile walk. Okay.
Sure.
If we have a goat head in our shoe, now hang with me.
If
we have a goat head or a thorn or something in our shoe, we will make it maybe 100 yards and be like, this is impossible. This is impossible. Like, I can't do this. Oh my God, this is terrible. When in reality, do you have shoes? No, I have shoes. Do you have, are you hydrated? Yeah, no, I'm not starving to death. I'm not dying. We have 99% of the things in place. What we need is a small tweak. We need a tiny little 1% shift. When you talk about the people that you've worked with that have found themselves in corporate jobs and large business jobs where they're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is untenable. It's like, do you actually hate everything around this? Do you hate the 99% of what you're doing? Or are you really good at the 99% of what you're doing? You actually didn't mind it, but there's like this thorn that has become this untenable, insurmountable problem, and they just keep throwing radical change at you. They're going after the 99% of your job that you're actually really good at and you can deal with, and they're missing the one small thorn that is actually soiling the entire experience.
Yeah, just to pull out. So I believe that most of the problem, which ultimately led me to write The Wild Advantage, is that we have so much noise in modern life right now. We have constant inputs. We are busy. We are working in corporate America. We're entrepreneurs. Right. We're doing all the things. We're being parents, right? Like, it's a lot. And we never take time to just step away from it all walk in nature, be in movement, be unplugged from technology, which is the biggest one, the biggest hurdle for people to get over, and just contemplate either our problems or be creative and come up with innovative ideas in real time. I mean, if you really think about it, and you and I are a bit of an anomaly in this, but most people, so when I do my corporate experiences, I have people approach me after the forest bathing session and they say things like,
with all the clothes on, by the way.
With all their
be
clothes
clear,
on.
if you haven't read the book, everybody's fully clothed.
Please keep your clothes on. So the forest bathing session, they come up afterwards and they're like, I can't remember the last time I sat alone with my own thoughts. I mean, that's really sobering.
You talk about the Hike 31 challenge. 31 days, 30 minutes a day in motion.
Yeah.
Okay. 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
A day. Like, this is the thorn. Mm-hmm. Is it that you dislike being a parent? No. Is it that you hate your job? No. Mm-hmm. Is it that you hate your spouse? Hopefully no. Like, is it the 99 is good?
Yeah.
You just needed this 30 minutes of unplugged, in nature, in movement time. Mm-hmm. That's taking the thorn out of your shoe. And then you can keep soldiering on like the incredible person you are. But you need that adjustment. Like, that's the thing that kept resonating with me. It's like, this isn't crazy. It's not some radical, like, okay, you're diurnal, you're going to go to nocturnal. Like, we're going to start working overnight, sleep during the day. Like, we're going to do these radical, you got to divorce your spouse. You got to, like, adopt 12 kids, or like, kick your kids out of the house. Like, I don't know. Like, it's this thing that seems so obvious, again, as you're going through the book and you're citing all the science you've read and then all the, anecdotal experiences with some of the most brilliant people in the world. It's like, oh yeah, they got it. It was all like, everybody knew. It was just staring them right in the face.
Right. Well, I think also people avoid it. And I do talk about this a lot in the book, but I have encountered, so when I first started offering...
Pull the mic a little bit closer to you.
Sure.
Just pull, there you go.
Okay. So when I first started offering this challenge, which was about 18 months ago, I noticed a pattern where only about a quarter of the people who started were actually finishing it. And that's when I started asking a lot of questions, and people shared with me, so at first it was like, oh, I'm too busy, I don't have the time. And then you start peeling back the layers and you're like, okay, well, how much Netflix did you watch? Like, how long did you scroll Instagram? You do have the time. It's how we choose to use our time. A few individuals started sharing with me, actually, Jess, I've tried it, and I'm really uncomfortable being alone with my own thoughts. And I was like, okay, tell me more. The reality is, once we start practicing this, we may have thoughts that are very uncomfortable, because we start realizing, and I get to this in the book, our own radical self-awareness of like, oh, that goat head, I was part of the problem there. And in order to pull it out, it might be not exactly something that's comfortable, right? And so it's this moment of radical self-awareness you have to own in the beginning of the challenge of like, I might be part of the problem, or I might be unhappy in an area of my life. I need to change it. Am I brave enough to do that?
And it's the engagement in the manner that you describe. It's the engagement with the outside world that allows people, it offers them, it doesn't obligate them, but it offers them an opportunity. It's like, hey, here's the thorn, and this sucks. But like, you didn't even see this thorn before you came out.
Right.
And then that offers team members and people, both, C-suite and below, all the way down. It's like, all right, here it is. You can fix this if you want. And by the way, if you don't want to, that's fine, but nobody's going to fix it for you. Like the classic consulting, radical change, all these things, that's not going to change anything. But that's also not showing you what the thorn is. Right now, you know what the thorn is. You don't want to be alone with your thoughts. Why? What is it? Do you get anxious when somebody raises their voice? Do you get anxious when an idea is shot down? Do you get anxious? Or are you, upset about some idea that you feel like didn't get enough credibility and you've been like holding on to this and you're afraid to bring up other ideas because you have, whatever it might be.
Right. Okay, so what was your so you have been on the hiking trail with me. We've been friends for years. You've seen the evolution.
I've seen the evolution.
Can we just go back for a second though? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Oh, here we go.
So how long ago was it? It was like last December?
When you came up with, no, it was like end of 23.
So you and I are at the community clubhouse.
Yeah.
We're like locking up after entrepreneurs group. And I remember I looked at you and I was like, no, Matt, I think this is going to work. I'm going to take my clients hiking. It's going to be incredible. I'm going to help them unlock ideas. I have never in the entire history of our friendship seen Matt Todd speechless. And this was you. This was your face. You just looked at me and like nodded and blinked a lot. And I was like, in my head, I was like, he thinks this is such a dumb idea and this is never going to work. But okay, but brace yourself. There's something I've learned about myself, Matt. You got to know this. When I sense a challenge or someone doesn't believe me, I take it like, so in like a Gallup Strength Finder or whatever, my number one is competition. And that freaked me out forever. I know, right? I was like, am I competitive with other people? I don't feel that way, blah, blah, blah. And someone explained to me, they're like, oh, no, you're competitive with yourself. And so you may not realize it, but in the moment where you, who have always been a super supportive friend of all the crazy things I've done, when you blinked at me, it was kind of like you lit a fire in my belly to be like, I'm going to show him and the rest of the world that this crazy idea can work in a good way. So like, thanks for doubting it because it motivated me to prove that it worked.
Oh, you are welcome, Jess.
Everyone should have friends like you.
Everyone. Okay. So December, we have this entrepreneurs group meeting coming up. And that week I go onto Instagram and here I see you like, I'm hiking for 31 days, like day 3 of a hike. And I'm like, what is this? Like, what is she doing? and you know, it had the classic tellings of like a social media clip. Sure. It wasn't too long. And it was like kind of B-reel photos of you walking through, and you had like a little caption bomb with the description. And I was like, she's clearly putting a lot of thought into this piece of content. Like, what the hell is she doing? Like, she's going hiking for 30 days. Like, how is this a business model? Right? Not that I know anything about it. And then when you told me, you're like, it's great, I'm going to start doing like hiking business consulting. And
that was your face right there. Just like that. That is your face.
You know, you want to know why that was my face? Because I relived the experience where it's like, I put all that information in my head to process. And it's like, it comes up with like, you know, the spinny wheel of death, where it's like, we can't spit anything out. I don't have any input.
I think it's like, my friend too, you were like, I cannot crush her dreams right now. I can't do that to her. I'll just blink a lot. Maybe she won't know.
It was so out there. It wasn't even like, that's a bad idea. It was like, I don't know what you just said to me. Like, I can't even like there it is again. There's the face. Like, I'm still experiencing it. But having seen you go through it and then experiencing, I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, this is wild and really effective. Having talked to people that have been through it too.
Yeah.
You know, the creative hampering that, okay, I have limitations as a person with perspective, right? Because I've never had a job. Okay. So I've always been self-employed.
Oh, that's right.
Right. I've never
about you.
I've never been part of a company. I've never been part of corporate America. I've never had a boss. I've never filled out a resume or a job application. I don't know what that is. I exist solely on my capacity to do something of value for people in the world. And that, to me, means you better be really tough. You better engage. You better deeply engage your creative capacity to think through these problems. Because if this were easy to do, I think everybody would do it. Not that I know, because it's the only thing I know how to do. Like, a fish doesn't know it's wet. This is just how I exist in the world, right? I'm a wet fish. Okay, here I am.
Oh my God, where do you come up with this?
But listen to me. So going through this and hearing the stories and then talking to people in person about how they experience this is like, oh no, this has got to be like corporate America. This is the corporate America that you see portrayed comically in Office Space.
Sure.
This is like when the Bobs show up and they're like, let me tell you about TPS reports.
Right.
It's just like, it's the corporate America that was portrayed in Joe versus the Volcano with Tom Hanks, where he's like, just sucking my life. You're like, it's the corporate America that I think a lot of people live and is made light of in these films that I will never know what is like. But hearing these stories and then experiencing the trails, like, oh, I get it. These people are like dying slowly. And this offers them a second to be like, take a breath and just tell me what you actually think. Okay. Or like, just take a walk and I'm just going to ask you questions along the way. You're going to lose yourself a little bit and just, okay, I'm afraid of being a failure. It's like, okay, there you go. Like, great, let's get that out. Or like, you know, like, that's the thing. It was like, oh, this is the antidote to Joe versus the Volcano fluorescent lights.
But I would also share too, it doesn't just work with corporate America. It works with, as you well know, founders and entrepreneurs, pretty much anybody it works with. I just think it's so powerful for business in general. So even in corporate America, we've had this massive shift post-pandemic, right? Where before it was like office space. Everybody's trapped in the office and all the things. Post-pandemic, now we're in the hell of like Zoom and Teams meetings nonstop, which you texted me about was hilarious. But even if you're...
The hell?
I'm going to invite you to a Zoom meeting just to get it declined.
Please, God.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm sorry to interrupt. I've been on a Zoom meeting like 3 times or twice.
I pity the person on the other end of that Zoom meeting.
Okay, you know what I did by the last time? The last Zoom meeting I was on was this like advocacy thing. You can imagine like we have a bunch of people there and like all these people in the room, and it's like one person talking at a time and people are just like, ugh. And I literally am like, I gotta go deep. So I'm in the studio. I turn all the lights red because I can control all the colors. I put digital sunglasses on and I just turn on music into my headphones. I'm like, So I'm
Were you doing that on the Zoom call?
The whole time. And people are like, yeah, so we.
That's what I mean. I pity the other people on the Zoom call with you.
I was like, this is not, I can't survive in this environment. Like this, I have to do something to make this fun for me or I'm going to die right now.
Right. So imagine that a lot of people have 6 to 8 Zoom or Teams calls a day. Can you imagine that? Like that's pretty brutal. So the office space analogy works, but it's just different now. And while people work from home or work remotely a lot more than they ever used to, it doesn't stop the kind of being chained to our desk or the idea we have to constantly be available, whether it's like a Teams chat or a Slack channel. Can you imagine? So again, you've never experienced this, but you have to almost constantly be available versus these sort of group threads where people are constantly communicating. And I talk about it in my book. The human brain was not designed to constantly be interrupted. And that is one of our greatest problems right now. And technology, the engineers of this technology, iPhones, apps, everything constantly pinging and dinging, it's designed to hijack our attention. Not in a good way.
Pre-Zoom and Google Meets and all of this stuff, when you were in person in corporate America, let's say like 2017, 18, whatever it was, if you have 6 or 8 meetings, like group meetups or whatever they are, the digital meetups, right?
Sure.
Whatever platform, a day now, were you in like the conference room 6 to 8 times a day? They're like, this is so important. We have to stop people from what they're doing, physically move them to this area so they can get the benefit of hearing this conversation. And we're going to stop them every hour or every hour and a half. Like, was that the culture at that point?
So you have to remember, you have people working in offices and also people dialing into these remote meetings. I think it's like a hybrid of both, but there's so much interruption. There's a lot of meetings that really could be emails or a quick text message, but we've developed this culture of, especially, let me take you back. And because you worked for yourself, you probably don't remember. So when the world shut down, right? What was it, 2020?
Yeah,
when
March 15th.
March 15th, 2020. Didn't know we were going to...
It was a dark day.
People were so freaked out. Now, I was actually not working at the time. I was on maternity leave with my daughter, so I got back to work in May. But as kind of the dust settled a little bit, people started setting up virtual meetings because they were lonely. Think of this for a second, Matt. Everyone's freaked out about what's going on in the world, and people were devastated and scared and freaked out. And so things that in a past corporate America type lifestyle that could have been a quick email or a text, everything became a Teams call, which then proceeded to chain people to their desks. I was one of them. People are eating their meals at their desks. They're not exercising. Now, there was actually a lot of people that picked up exercise through that time. But for me, the first few months were really hard because it was like and I was managing like global accounts and global people all over the world.
And a tiny human.
And raising a tiny human. And like my days were 16 to 18 hour days easily. And so it took me snapping me out of it to realize I couldn't remember the last time I had been for a hike. And I looked out, my office window was second story in Portland, Oregon. I could see Forest Park out in the distance. And I was like, I was waiting, like the spin, waiting for the next whatever meeting. And I was like, this is insane. I just need to go for a hike. And I canceled my afternoon meetings, drove to the trailhead. I left my cell phone in the car because, again, what I told you about the constant like Teams or Slack channels, ding, 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 and it was hijacking my nervous system. I felt constantly stressed and anxious. So I just left it in the car and I went for a walk in the woods. It felt like the first time I could breathe again in months. I couldn't hear Bryn crying and feel the insane mom guilt that the nanny would have to get her because mommy was too busy working. I couldn't hear my team constantly blowing me up with stuff that didn't need my attention. I could just be alone in the woods, walking in nature with my own breath. And when I got back to the car that day, I decided, you know what? I don't care what it costs me. I'm going to hike every day. So I actually did the Hike to Become challenge years before I developed it. I just kept remembering whenever I've reached this point in my life where I don't know what else to do, it's like a weird pull where I just get pulled to a trailhead. I go for a hike. I remember who I am when I don't have all these inputs, and then I commit to showing up the next day. And then it becomes a thing. And, several months after that, Steve and I decided we were going to leave where we were living and just uproot our lives and make big changes. And I'm so grateful we did because I'm here now, and this community has been incredible and so supportive of my work. And the book wouldn't be possible without people in the community, yourself included. I mean, you were one of the first people to trust me on the trail. You're like, all right, this is crazy. Sure, I'll go hiking with you and let you ask me a lot of weird questions. You showed up in shorts with a cup of you had a cup of coffee like this. And I was like, what are we doing with that on the trail? That sounds...
I'm going to drink it in 3 minutes.
I know.
I also happen to be, correct me if I'm wrong, the only person who has ever run on the trail as we're going uphill. I'm like, can I just run?
Yes.
I can't hike. Can I run?
Yep. You were
running back and forth.
To date, Matt, I have never had anyone else be like, you know what? I'm going to run. Are you good? You want to run with me? Should we run? And I'm like, I hate all of that, but by all means, go burn your energy, get your energy out. You are also, not to spoil the surprise, the only person to dance on the trail.
I have a lot of love and energy in my
You
heart.
really do.
I feel like you get to see a version of me on the trail that's not entirely dissimilar from, but like that really is me.
Yeah,
like,
I know that. Yeah.
It's like I'm just a guy who's vibrating.
Yes.
A little
bouncing around on the trail.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we'll get back to questions later. Enjoy your run.
I think I told you as you first entered into this project and I realized you weren't a crazy person, that I had a previous client who talked about park time. And this guy was involved in tech, and this is like 2006, 2007. So like you're still early in the tech world. But he and his partner, he's like, yeah, we call it park time. Like if you're stuck on a problem and the founding partner is like, oh, just get out of the office, go like walk through the park.
Right.
So we have this kind of rule of thumb people do, right? As you articulate with very famous, like some of the most brilliant minds in the world in your book. But like, why haven't we heard, when you did the deep dive in the scientific research and the literature and found these people that had been studying, like, oh, no, we've known about this for a while. Why, like, first off, wild that you stumbled upon that. Well, didn't stumble, but like went out looking for it and it already existed. But
sure.
What do you think why do you think more people aren't realizing this, especially within either corporate or entrepreneurial world? It's like, why aren't more people coming to the table saying, hey man, if you want to have a breakthrough idea, get the hell out of the office and get into nature and get moving. And you know what? You're probably going to solve your problems.
Right.
Why isn't this of course you nailed it, but it's like, of course somebody had to nail it first. And I am sure you already have like remember that song Rock Superstar by Cypress Hill? There are a lot of sharks out there. Everybody trying to take a bite. Doesn't happen overnight. So you want to be a rock superstar? No.
Are you rapping right now?
A little bit. You should listen to it. But it's all like, there's going to be another person coming out like you, sounding like you. Like, so you obviously nailed it. But why? Like, what has stopped this from coming to the surface this long?
Whew, great question. Nothing in the book is brand new. None of it is novel or brand new information. I think it's just the way I sort of have it put together. It helps people think through it. I also am a huge fan of Tim Ferriss. And so Tim Ferriss is the 4-hour body guy and all the things. And I love Tim's concept of like, what is the least amount of time I need to invest for the maximum amount of benefit? So when I set about challenging myself to my own Hike to Become challenge, I was like, all right, I'm a busy mom. I have a 6-month-old at the time and a 3-year-old, and I'm building a business. I have zero time. What is the least amount of time I need to commit to this process to reach the maximum amount of benefit? And I played with it a little bit. About 30 to 40 minutes is really what you need. So to answer your question, why has this not come out before, or why are people not talking about this? It's funny. One of my clients mentions that he has like a hurry complex or like a busy complex. And the reality is we're all stuck in this modern world, and it's not our fault. I hope I make that very clear in the book, that all of these devices, laptops, cell phones, everything is hijacking our attention, so that before we know it, the day is over. Our attention has been hijacked so many times that like we didn't even think to go for a walk, because we feel this insane pressure to be productive, to be focused, to be creative, and have all these outputs. And it's so like ironic, because the reverse is true. Like, take yourself for a walk and unplug, and you'll come back and be way more productive, focused, and creative. Why has it not come out? I think we're just slow to sort of change. I think the pandemic had a big part of it, and of like, hey, everybody's got to be doing this and prove that they're working while they're at home.
Right. What have you done this week?
What have you done this week? How many virtual meetings have you had? And I think we haven't like dealt with the backlash of that yet. I hope that we do. Like, I will see this book as a success if I start inspiring movements at corporations and just for individuals to start practicing the Hike to Become challenge and set a baseline of how their employees feel from a burnout perspective, how productive they feel, how much work they're getting done, then 31 days of doing this challenge, and then how do they feel afterwards. It's going to be a noticeable difference, just like the scientific studies show.
Yeah, and this is, to your point, perhaps it really was like, the delta wasn't great enough, right? Like, you could kind of get through it before we had been inundated fully with tech. And it's like, yeah, you could be maybe 5 or 10% more productive. But with the inundation of tech, it's like, oh, now we're looking at like 30 or 40% more productive. We have to find a way to capture that 30 or 40%. Right. And not just productivity, it's enjoyment. It's like being reintroduced to yourself, right? Like, when people get worried with their own thoughts, it's like, you're just not okay with yourself. That like, there's something going on in your life that if you're forced to sit and think about it, it's going to bother you.
Right.
And so that's not good.
That's
right?
not good.
But this type of thing, Kellogg, I think the original Kellogg's was, he was famous for, I believe they took the work week down from like 6 days to 5 days and then 5 to 4. There was this really classic experiment where he's like, I wonder what would happen if we gave people more time and didn't push them. And the productivity went up.
Sure.
Right. So and that was, a long time ago. Right. But you have these notable examples throughout history of people who instinctually knew this, but there wasn't the articulation putting it. Malcolm Gladwell. Okay. When you're like, hey, look, there's nothing new to this. Malcolm Gladwell is not a researcher, right? Like, he's not at some university. He's putting all of the pieces together.
Sure.
And very much, I actually heard an interview with him years ago where he was like, look, you start out writing a book and you think you have an idea, and then you uncover these things, and then the book changes. And that was the problem. He's like, I didn't know where the book was going to go when I started, very similar to your experience. So the idea that you're like, hey, look, nothing is necessarily new doesn't mean that the ingredients may be things anybody can buy at the store. But when you make the creme brulee, people are like, whoa, what's that? Right. So ultimately, you think that there's a cultural recognition that technology, although useful as a tool, also comes with these gigantic costs that are not very well respected or honored as we're utilizing them.
Correct. I talk about it a little bit in the book about the fact that, okay, so we live at the precipice of, advanced technology, and everyone's terrified AI is going to take over, and sort of all this stuff. And listen, I get it. That's a very true sentiment. However, AI can't think like a human. There's so many people working very, very hard to try to train AI to think like a human, but AI can't. It's a robot. It's a program. The second, though, that we as human beings start deferring human, very creative thinking tasks to AI, we're losing. We're forgetting that technology is essentially a tool, and we're starting to act like tools ourselves. That's the joke I sort of make in the book.
You're not wrong.
Right? I mean, I want to talk about the cover of the book for a second. This is about AI. So my publisher ran a contest to design the cover of the book. And I've done this before, like 2 years ago, and every designer that came back with a concept mat used AI generated images.
How did you guys know? Did they admit it?
You have to admit it in the contest.
Oh my God.
Do you want to take a guess how many designs I got back through the contest?
Oh, so your publisher puts this out to artists, to
To
presumably
actual
artists.
designers and artists, and say, okay, give us your best concept for the Wild Advantage.
Oh
how
my
many
gosh.
designs do you think I got back?
I don't know, a dozen, 2 dozen?
384.
Oh my God.
Designers all over the world, by the way. And
every single one just used AI. They're like, okay.
I would say north of 90%. Everyone I was looking through was like, used AI generated footage, used AI generated footage. So, okay, so picture me like a week later, I have to pick a winning design. I'm like sitting on my steps and Steve, my husband, is like, what's wrong? And I like got my head in my hands and I'm like, I just wrote a book about how to think like a human. And I have to pick a design and they were all designed by AI. And I was like, what do I do with this? I remembered then that Michelle Manley, who lives in our community and our neighborhood, actually owns her own design firm. And you know what she does? She designs book covers. So I call up Michelle. I'm like, hey, sorry I didn't think of you before. My publisher already had like the book cover design in the proposal or whatever. But if I have a concept I sort of like, would you take it over and be my human?
Yeah, right.
Michelle and I met multiple times in person. She understood my concept. She understood what I was trying to get at. She changed the cover from white to black.
It's beautiful.
Midnight charcoal, actually.
I love the flat. Love it.
The matte.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flat
Good job,
finish.
Michelle. Good job.
Yeah.
So that was her recommendation. She also, the original cover was white. Michelle, a human, was like, hey, that's going to disappear on Amazon. You know what won't? Your brand colors, which are dark. She gave me such practical, good advice. And then this brain, which the concept I loved, it didn't have like a source for the waterfall when AI made it. And Michelle was like, oh, the water actually needs to be flowing from something. So I guess my point to all this is not only am I absolutely thrilled with her work, she's a phenomenal designer, but if you're freaked out about AI, try hiring a human for the job. Like, be part of the change you want to see.
Man, I so appreciate that. I get really worried about the content people consume because so much of it, like all day long, all I do is talk to people and then make content out of that and publish it online. And
Sure.
I don't consume a lot of social media. By the way, side note, I went on a trip this summer and I was in family of 5. So me and 2 of the boys were in one room and my wife and the youngest was in another room because we were in this place, didn't have very large hotel rooms, no big deal. And as such, like the boys would get tired and go to sleep. And I'm like, well, I got nothing else to do. And I'm not quite tired yet. Caught up on sleep. It was fantastic, by the way. But anyway, when I was finally caught up after like the first week, I'm like, well, I got like another 45 minutes before I can get myself full asleep. So I start scrolling, which I never do anymore. Right. And twice on the trip, I started experiencing panic attacks. And I didn't know why. I wasn't watching anything violent. I wasn't watching anything scary. It wasn't like Nature is Metal where like I'm screaming like, run, squirrel, run. And like the coyotes catching it was not, it was literally innocuous like cooking videos. And it wasn't until I read your book that I was like, oh, that's why, because it's, again, you'll have to read the book to understand why, but it totally explained. I'm like, oh my God, this is why I'm freaking out and literally it was like, oh, I'd start freaking out. I'm like, oh my God. And I didn't know why. I was like, I have to shut this phone. I had no idea why. I didn't know, like my stomach clenched up. I literally like my throat was like, oh God. And I put the phone away. It was like, it was like I was drinking until I was like, I'm too drunk. I can't.
Yeah, I can't.
And everything calmed down. And it was like, this is the weirdest thing ever. What the hell is going on? Anyway, so in engaging in that, I realized more and more that so much content out there. And, I live in the content world. It's just this repurposed garbage. They'll take, some famous person's voice, right? You take Morgan Freeman or
he's got a great voice, though.
Great voice. Or you take like Jordan Peterson or you take who does not have a great voice, but has a lot of good things to say.
True.
Like take anybody's, motivational speech, you ever see Any Given Sunday?
I don't think so.
Oh, come on. Al Pacino? Oh, it was fantastic. He was this football coach and he had this great speech about a game of inches at the end of the movie. It's like every inch you put all the inches and people take that speech and put it to like, short clips of AI generated football or whatever it is.
Sure.
And it's all just junk.
Yep.
There's no original content. There's no relevance. It's like, oh my God, are we all going down this optimization thing where it's just like people use these flashy things? And, that's something that I got worried about. companies, though, have started realizing like, oh, all of this is junk. Like it's all junk. These aren't actual people. And by the way, if you're using AI, you can just pump out, a
So
video
fast.
every 2 minutes,
Yep.
And so they actually started down regulating those videos. But it is a concern of mine where it's like, what are we going to just become whatever the algorithm wants us to become? Are we going to consume whatever the algorithm wants us to consume? Not just content type, but content style. And now it's like, this is the only thing. So when I see things made by people, it's, first off, I almost always find it superior to the AI junk.
Oh, for sure. You want to lean in on the human generated content because it feels authentic, probably, right?
Yes, there's a type of content, by the way, that I find hilarious that it exists. So there was a guy on TikTok who made his way by making fictitious videos that were supposed to be voyeur videos from Ring cameras. Right. So, like somebody comes up to the door, and they're like slamming on the door. And it's like this ridiculous dialogue. So you realize like this guy's whole thing is Ring cameras, but the things are totally scripted. And like he's this, like drunk dude. Okay. And like,
so he's acting. It's not like authentic.
Yeah. Like,
videos.
so one video might be like the screen door busts open and he storms out and he's like, I can't believe this. And then this mom, and it's from a Ring camera. So audio's bad and video's bad. The mom's like, Jason, why are you so upset? She's like, you don't love me. You never even wanted me. She's like, that's not true. I just told you that I couldn't get hammered on margaritas at 1 o'clock on Thursday. And he's like, it's the same thing. Right. It's like, just that. It's funny. But all you have to do is like put that together. You get a script, whatever. Now there are AI generated things because AI started looking so good. They're like, we need to rein this back. So now there's a type of AI generation that's like a Ring camera video with like bears and a raccoon sitting on top.
I've seen that. I just saw that the other day and I was like, kind of like you were saying about your trip and whatever.
Yeah.
I like the second I saw that, Matt, and I was like, okay, I need to just put this phone away right now.
Yeah, right. So there's that
like
type of video.
It was a bear walking up to a baby on the step, and I was like,
and then the dog's barking.
Yeah.
And then like the bear jumps back over the fence.
Yeah.
So you can like, there are a lot of tells that these are fake videos.
Sure.
But they're now realizing like, oh, we need to make it look less good. To have more extreme and insane content, like a bear coming up to a baby. You see that and you're like, oh no, like it grips you and you're like, oh, this is terrible. All totally fake.
Yeah,
like it's
exactly.
all. And again, ultimately, the algorithm knows how to make something that will like grab people and pluck on your emotional, like visceral lizard brain and get you to watch more.
Right. So speaking of our visceral lizard brain, I think the book kind of took a turn for the better when I was finally able to get a hold of someone I consider an expert in the field of studying our brains on nature. That's Dr. David Strayer at the University of Utah. And he actually puts electrodes on people's brains, sends them out into nature, and he takes two groups. He'll take one group, he'll send them out into nature with no cell phones, and the other group, he'll send them out into nature. It's actually the Arboretum there. And he'll tell them, make a phone call to someone. So both are control groups. They're moving, they're walking, they're in nature. One has tech, one does not. Any ideas what like happened or the brainwave patterns, the differences between the two?
Oh, I guarantee you have no opportunity to tap into like an unstructured creative headspace if you have to call somebody. You go straight to like problem solving, structure orientation, like the whole thing. So yes, one of the most concerning and like aha moments I had was he explained to me this concept of inattentional blindness. So the group that was on the cell phones only remembered about 50% of the things that the group without the cell phone saw in the Arboretum. So not only did he test their cognitive function afterwards, but he also gave them a survey and was like, okay, what do you see? What do you remember? The group that was on the cell phone missed half of what was out there. So let's just put that in context for a second. And the way it was, I loved meeting him. He's an incredible human. The way he explained it to me is like, it's no wonder then you're taking these people out on these guided hikes, you're stealing their cell phones, and these answers and clarity appear out of nowhere. They're just blind to the answers because they are so busy all the time. You get them out in nature, you get them moving, they're going to see sort of what's right in front of them versus being blind. But if you put that in context of just how we live our day-to-day life, we're driving, we're taking our kids to school, we're having a cell phone call, whatever, we are blind to 50% of the world around us if we're on technology. That's crazy. I have a friend. He's a bit eccentric at times. I visited him like 10, 15 years ago. He just had a kid, and I was staying in a hotel. It was like his kid's first birthday or something, so there were a lot of people staying. I was like, no, I got you a hotel room. He lived far away. He's like, got you a hotel room. I'm like, oh, great, just give me the address. We had the iPhone by this point, right? And he's like, no, I just drew a small map. It's not that far away. I'm like, okay, just give me the address, right? And he's like, no. So like he wouldn't give me the address. I ended up Googling the hotel and like I just found it myself. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And we got into this big fight about, not a big fight, but he was like, you're going to lose your capacity to navigate if you just don't use it. If you don't use it. Okay. And as you're talking about this, when I was initially in tutoring, so my job from 22 to 39 was SAT tutoring so it was almost 20 years, but it was like 15 of those years I did only one-on-one in-home tutoring. Wow. Okay, now mind you, when you're doing one-on-one in-home tutoring in 2004, iPhones don't exist.
Right.
I had to use MapQuest. So somebody would give me over the phone their address. I'd have to print out the MapQuest directions, and then I would have to navigate to people's houses at night in the rain, looking at street signs, all of these things. And of course, by the second time or third time I went there, it's like I didn't need the directions. And my SAT binder had like directions this thick, right? It was crazy, but I was really good at finding them. Enter the iPhone. It allowed me to no longer care at all about what the neighborhoods or streets, whatever looked like, because we had adapted technology that allowed me to check out from that. And then all of a sudden, I was no longer paying attention to where I was, and this time was essentially liberated. Now, functional, I was like, oh, great, I can make phone calls and stuff because I don't have to think about this. But I also totally missed all of these drives. Right. And it was because we was like, okay, you don't have to know this anymore. You don't have to know anything about where you're going. You don't have to know anything about landmarks, street signs, like anything at all. And you just arrive. And it was literally like, Scotty, beam me up. I wouldn't remember anything about how I got somewhere deep into like the Oakland Hills, where like a bunch of weird streets and I'm like, wow, this is a crazy place. It's like, yeah, you could have seen how you got here if you weren't just like paying attention to or doing something else.
Right. No, it's terrifying. And you think about the world our children are growing up in. So it's funny you mentioned the SAT thing. So I was a pizza delivery girl when I was 16.
No.
Seriously, if I wasn't doing this job, that is the other job I would do. I loved it.
Could you imagine letting your daughter deliver pizzas to strangers' houses now at 16?
Yeah, no.
The things that we did as young people is crazy.
It was a different era, Matt. It was a different era.
What was the pizza company?
Downtown Pizza in Orisburg, Pennsylvania.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was.
Did you get good tips?
I did, because no one expected a girl to show up.
16-year-old girl?
16-year-old
They're like,
girl.
here you go, darling.
Yeah, they were like, oh, My point to all that is cell phones, and iMaps and all that didn't exist when I was 16. So much like you, I would take directions over the phone and be like, okay, past the red barn and like the barking dog and then the White House with the blue door. Okay. But I had to think about where I was going. And we need to find a balance. I think technology is a wonderful, useful tool. I'm not railing against technology in the book. I'm railing against our human capacity to manage it and then not take responsibility for it.
That really is what it comes down to. I have my buddy, Max, who's eccentric. He actually realized, I think like 4 years ago, that if his phone was in his room, he could not be off his phone. And I gave him credit for him. Like, okay, bad that you don't have self-control, but good that you know yourself. Right? Like, that's weird though, right? And we see more and more of this struggle.
Reality though. So I think you have shared with me a practice that you do with your own family that Steve and I have now adopted, where you leave your cell phone off and in the garage. I think that's brilliant, because I've noticed the same thing about us functioning as a family. It's hard not to respond, and I can talk about why in a second, to the notifications, pings, or you feel compelled to check it if it's shut off in the garage. But much like you experienced when you were on the family trip and decided to put it away because, you were having those panic attacks, I noticed that when I practiced that regularly, my stress and anxiety, even, I'm walking and doing what I mentioned in the book, but my stress and anxiety plummets. Last Sunday, I turned my phone off between like 6 a.m. and like 2 p.m.
I know, I tried to call you.
Yeah, sorry. It was often in the garage because that's what you told me to do. Like, I went to visit Farmer Dan, took the kids to the farm and the library, and I was so relaxed, Matt. I was like, whatever.
Because that's how people used to walk around. It's like being on a drug. You're like, oh, nobody can even get a hold of me. Like, this is crazy.
I'm just like living my best life, getting like, chicken from Farmer Dan and going to the library.
That sounds amazing.
But it's just showing up in life, and we're losing the ability to be powerfully present in our life because we're so distracted by technology. So kudos to you. I think you and your wife have a brilliant idea about, if you feel that pull of the cell phone, set family boundaries, right? Like from this time to this time, everybody's cell phone goes in the garage and we're just going to hang out.
Right. And to be clear, it's right here. So this is my field guide that goes in my back pocket. And it's got a zipper, and then you pop it open and you got a pencil in the field book, right? Your field book is right there that you gave to me. And so all I do, here it is. I put this when I get home at 5 o'clock, as you're saying. And again, I'm not like, I exist in a very, very optimized, high efficiency world of like, if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. And I have limited time. So I have to take advantage of this. So this strategy, to be clear, is not like I need it. It's like, no. You're going to optimize here, right? And that includes recognizing when you're getting diminishing returns and when it's not good for you in the long run. So what I would do when I get home, what I do is I take my phone and I just either leave it in the garage or I put it somewhere where it's like, I don't even see it. Because by the way, if you walk by your phone, you consciously or subconsciously, either way, you have a decision. You have to make a decision. No, I'm not going to touch that. Now, if anybody's ever been around really good brownies on the counter, you get annoyed real fast. You're like, no,
I'm on a diet. I can't have that right now.
Not until after dinner. You're like, no. And you're constantly saying no to yourself. And that drives an anxiety chain as well.
For sure.
If you don't even see it, it's gone. You don't, like, the brownies don't exist. You don't have anxiety about not eating the brownies. But the point is, I'll put the field guide in my pocket. And from 5 to 8, if I have a thought, I just whip out the field book, write down what the idea is, call Jess, right? And then put the thing away. I can close the loop on that thing.
And you're not stressed about, I'm going to forget, or like, I need my phone right now, because you've recognized it in your field guide. You'll come back to it later.
Now, if I had my phone, let's say I got to like call Jess about the podcast, right? I text you and I'm like, hey, Jess, are we still on for tomorrow? That loop is open. I'm waiting for it to close the loop. So not only did I look at my phone and I'm likely going to get distracted by something, because everybody does, I'm also going to have the anxiety about additional things I need to do. And since I have my phone out, why don't I just get those things done? But now I'm opening these loops that rob me of being powerfully present from 5 to 8 p.m. with my children, right? And instead of doing that, I write the things down. The loop is closed as far as I'm concerned, because I trust my future self is going to take care of it whenever he comes to that 8 o'clock time. Because Matt at 8 o'clock always does Matt at 5 o'clock right. He's like, no, man, calm down. I promise I'll get to it. You let it go right now. That's my responsibility. It's like, okay, awesome, 8 o'clock, Matt. So
Can we just pause? I'm so here for you talking about yourself in third person. It's like there's 4 Matts happening at any given time.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's wild in my head. And it's not 4, it's like 10.
Yeah, of course. Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So like the Matt in the like 2 days that's, whatever. It's like doing this episode. He's going to be laughing. Hi, Matt.
Yeah. Hi, Matt. Yeah.
Anyway.
That was hilarious.
So again, you close the loop, you put it away. And then what's actually amazing is as I don't open those loops, as I'm like, no. Matt right now can be a receptacle for a to-do list. So if you have things that you want to do, just tell me and I'll write them down. And you know what? It's as good as done later.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, literally, every time I do this, there's this flood of things. It was like, you should also text Julie. Like, oh, what about the KTVB girl? Yep. Like all of these different things come forward because now I'm actually present and I'm now I'm seeing the 50% that I wasn't seeing before. Whereas if I engaged in one task, I was locked into that one thing. That loop dominated. There was no space in my head to be a receptacle to other things. So I actually get more done because instead of doing 2 or 3 things and not seeing my kids, I write down 20 things. And then at 8 o'clock, I run through all 20. This has optimized and made me so much, not just more efficient, but productive, like gross tasks done because I put down my phone and I pick up this have like exponentially grown daily.
For sure. No, that makes a ton of sense. I often get questions from people that, have an experience with me. Maybe it's like a VIP day hike or they do a corporate experience with me. And then I encourage everyone to join the Hike to Become challenge. And one of the first questions I get is like, okay, Jess, well, what if I don't have 30 minutes in my day? And I'm like, well, first off, everyone has 30 minutes in their day. It's what you're willing to sacrifice for it. But once we get beyond that, what I often say is, what if I could give you 2 hours back in your day? Because of exactly what you sort of just identified is that once we put away the noise, our to-do list, which whatever, could be 45 things. I know I get back from my walk and I'm like, I do not need to do 45 things. This is just crazy death spiral at my desk. I need to do 3 and I need to do them really well. And I'm going to finish work that much faster. I mean, there's science behind all of this, but we just forget to practice it because we're really comfortable being busy and distracted.
How many people have read this book? I know I got the pre-thing. I know it's coming out theoretically today because that's when this will publish. Sure. How many people have read this?
So, great question. I think to date, I had about 10 content editors, amazing people, 2 best-selling authors themselves, and some executives. I think to date about 30 before book launch have read it.
How many of those 30 got a hold of you and were like, oh my God, you nailed it? Like all of them?
So I would say it's been interesting. Everyone's journey, and I cannot stress this enough, everyone's journey, if they choose to read the book and embark on the challenge, and anyone can join. If they get the book, there's instructions on how to join the challenge themselves, is so different, Matt. And the text messages and the phone calls I'm getting are mind-blowing. I got a phone call from a president of a very large company who had an experience with me and had a lot of questions about how to do the challenge in a way that was really beneficial to him. He was having all these epiphanies and he didn't know like what to do with it about managing his team. I've gotten text messages. I got a text message the other morning. Someone was like, I love your book. And they said something similar to you, and they know me very well. She was just at my women's retreat. They all got advanced reader copies. She knows what it's like to hang out with me and actually work with me. And she said the same thing, like, it's just like being with you. And okay, so how many bad business, self-help, whatever, nonfiction books are out there? You read.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot. Like a majority, right? Most books are trash.
Okay. I've never felt the need to find enlightenment for self-improvement through books. I'm pretty honest with myself about like, you need to fix this thing and like, you're going to figure out why. And usually I lean on people, but I have gone to the self-help area in a Barnes and Noble. That's how long ago I went to buy it. Yeah, right. Yeah. But this is back in the day when I was 22, 23, like I didn't grow up with a lot of money and I was very anxious when I graduated college about having financial stability as an adult. Sure. So I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Kiyosaki, great. And then I read the Cash Flow Quadrant. That was his second book. And at the end of the Cash Flow Quadrant, there's a book list. And they're like, you can read these books and they'll help. One of them is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That happened to be in the self-help aisle in Barnes and Noble. I went in there. I was like, so there's a lot of help.
There's lots of help that people need.
Hello. It was a gigantic aisle of like these it was like, what is this place? Like, what are people doing? Yeah. And it's like, that's a huge problem. And it's like, oh, help yourself and, do this or count to whatever.
Sure.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Well, so it kind of like messed with my mind in the beginning because I was like, oh, I'm going to write this book. And I have read a lot of terrible books in this genre.
Self-help. I did the whole bottom.
Yeah.
Row.
And I'm like, how do I not write a bad book?
Yeah,
right. And so there were 2 things that stuck out in my mind. One, some books I read feel like an ego project. It's all about the author and how great they are. Definitely didn't want to do that.
Millionaire Developer. That's one of them. I read it when I was 22. It's all about his developments and what he did.
He's the greatest,
like, blah, 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 blah,
whatever. And the second thing is they're boring. Like, I can't get past the first chapter because I'm bored out of my mind. I got some great advice from an incredible person, Mark Levy, who has coached Simon Sinek in writing his book and The Power of Why and all that. He came in, I was at an event where he spoke, and I'll never forget, he said, forget everyone and write the book you would want to read. If you want to write an adventure book, write an adventure book. And so I took that perspective of like, there's some curse words in my book. Like,
watch out
for the audiobook.
You've been warned.
You've been warned. Like, I talk about having a wet butt in the snow. I'm very unfiltered in my book. I'm just me because that's what I feel like I would want to read versus someone just saying like, here's the concept and do the thing. I want to invite people in to the story and feel like they're living it with me.
But like, honestly, I think this goes back to the AI thing where it's like, this is our humanity. Like, is AI going to know the wet butt in the snow and then you have to like hike back and you're like, oh, damn it. Like, that's, I think one thing that is coming out of the quote AI revolution and the content revolution where people are consuming it is we are becoming hyper discriminatory to production because we know production is inversely proportional to authenticity.
Oh, interesting. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. So when things look just right or when things look too crazy, it's like, that's not human.
Sure.
Like human is like this inefficient, sticky, like dumb,
has a wet butt in the snow because she forgot to wear waterproof
dirty
pants.
Boots, like all these things, like that's humanity.
Sure.
And I think people are starting to reject the notion of like, no, it's too perfect. Like I want real, I want authentic, I want, and obviously you have even podcasts that are trying to, you have corporate America, like the news media that's trying to create these like perfectly done podcasts. Meanwhile, like you look at Rogan and it was like his original were on like Zoom. And then like, actually when I started furnishing this studio, I literally just Googled like, what camcorder does Joe Rogan use? And it's like a Canon G60. I'm sure he's upgraded since then, but like I don't have some crazy set. It's like Godzilla and a blue curtain.
Exactly.
And then it's like, that's it. Yeah. You don't, and people always put the cart ahead of the horse. They're like, we need the perfect this, we need to put, it's like, you're missing the mark, man. You need to have a human experience.
For sure. And I would agree with you. So I have to engage in social media to promote the brand and the business and all the things. And you and I kind of talk a little bit about that, how, we are not necessarily big consumers of all the things, because one, we don't have time, but two, then we are also putting out content there. And I've noticed a substantial rise in even what I want my eyeballs on, where like I'll be scrolling through LinkedIn, for example, which is the main platform I use. And I'm like, God, that's AI generated. Or like people will start commenting on my posts and I'm like, clearly a robot wrote that. No human being.
1,000%.
Because it's like a paragraph of like a dissertation on my post. And I'm like, what? So I just don't engage.
Or like hyper-inflammatory or just out there. How about small side note, the number, if I hear one more person being like, oh, dude, Instagram and YouTube, they are so hard, but TikTok, I kick ass on TikTok. I'm like, you realize all it has to do is inflate your views and you think you're doing something better. Yeah. Like, is your content different from Instagram to TikTok? Like, what do you think? Like, do you really think you posted the first thing and it blew up amazingly and like all these people were it's like, what are you doing?
Do you have TikTok?
I do have a TikTok.
So what's the difference of the platforms? Like, I know you're very big on Instagram, but like in your mind, is it what's allowed? Like what's...
I think okay, so Facebook and Instagram Facebook is like our parents' generation, where they're going to like write 3 pages on their political views and change 0 people's opinion. Instagram was kind of our generation, where it's like we can start taking selfies and like show ourselves at the gym working out like every realtor ever.
Yeah, right.
Like there's that. And then TikTok really had
like our
this
kids' generation, right?
It was like my students, right?
Yeah,
it was like they had this infinite scroll where you started. They did a really good job with a couple key things. They had challenges. So do you remember like the milk crate challenge, like stack milk crates up and then walk up and people get hurt all the time? Or like the plank challenge, which was like, surprise if you had an attractive young girl with like a low hung shirt who was doing the plank challenge and the camera was facing her.
I missed
like
all of this because I'm not on TikTok.
So you had challenges. You also had these dance alongs. So they really set up this template for dance alongs. So a viral audio track would go out, right? And it might be, a song, or it might be, a bit from a movie, and people could make dances that go along with the thing.
Sure.
Whatever the audio is. And then people would get better and better at those dances. And there's like all of these ridiculous. So that really was this main line to young people of presenting challenges that offered, comparison. They upregulated inappropriate, content. They upregulated people getting like hurt for these challenges. There was like a steal a Kia challenge.
That's
or
awful.
Like, it was terrible. But that was TikTok. Right. So that you had these teenagers engaging in this kind of like intense thing, and TikTok wanted like everyone to have 1 million followers. Now, mind you, if you think when it was owned or at least regulated or controlled in some way by the Chinese Communist Party, and they weren't manipulating statistics to give you the dopamine hit, which everyone knew you were going to come back for, It's like, of course they upregulated. Of course they have a gajillion bots. Of course you think everyone loves you on TikTok. Like, there aren't that many more people. Like, people on TikTok, people on Instagram.
So it's like a big lie. It's a mirage, sort of.
It's most of it is.
Okay.
In my mind. And this was the big question with, Musk when he bought Twitter. He's like, how many of them are real? What do you think happens in TikTok? How many of these people are real or duplicate accounts?
How many were?
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. But like, that was the big question with Twitter. It was like estimated that I think 80 to 90% of the activity on Twitter was done by bots.
Sure.
So you have this appearance of social, we all live by analogy. Okay. So if you see a bunch of cars, like steering away from something aggressively, like you've ever been on and you see like 3 cars in front of you steer.
You're like, I better miss
you're like,
something.
I'm going to I better get ready. Right.
Yeah.
We all live by analogy. And that serves us very well when we're trying to order coffee, because we can see where the line is. We can see how to engage with whatever, like that's what we do. But that desire to live by analogy for our own self-safety and perpetuation blends to, okay, everybody hates this person. Everybody on Instagram or on TikTok, everybody's hating on this idea. I guess I can't like this. I don't know why everybody's mad at him, but like a lot of people are angry at him.
It's like a groupthink mentality. And it's terrifying.
We have to. That's why the pile-on is so valuable. If you see 100 people piling on, this is happening in the Treasure Valley right now, by the way. There is, and I won't go into detail, but there are areas of the Treasure Valley in Idaho right now, just outside Boise, where there are groups of people that each have like 5 to 10 accounts of varying, like Facebook, Instagram, these things. And there is a large narrative that is being driven about local politics. Now, right or wrong, I don't live in that area, but I do know it's happening because I've engaged in local elections. And these people are utilizing these platforms to try to sway public opinion about this. And you will see when election day comes, it's like, wait, was it really that hundreds of people disliked this person? Or was it like 10 people?
And 80 bots or something.
You also saw this with, there's a bar in Eagle that engaged in a less popular social, right.
Yeah.
And there was all of this hype online promoting this event. But then when the event happened, like 10 people showed up.
See,
because the hype online was not real. So when it comes down to brass tacks, in reality, it's not what it looks like.
So you bring up a really interesting point. When's the last time you saw The Matrix, like the original?
Oh, bro. That was so great. It was a long time ago, though. It was great.
So recently I flew to the East Coast to do a hike to become experience. Had a lot of time. I don't ever watch TV anymore. I just don't have the time. And I was like, I need to just like relax and zone out. So I picked The Matrix to view on my flight. That hits different. 20 years later, can I just tell you that hits, well, now it's 26 years later. I think it came out in 1999. Yeah. The place where I'm going with this is everything that you're talking about, how it's all fabricated and inflated and all this. We kind of live in the Matrix. I'm going to argue that point. And while it's probably not the Keanu Reeves scenario exactly, think of all of us as being constantly plugged in to technology, to social media, to a vortex of things that's skewing our worldview. What I advocate for in the Wild Advantage is an unplug moment for 30 to 40 minutes a day by yourself, to be in movement, to be in nature, and all the science is showing that's reducing your stress and anxiety, that's enhancing your emotional well-being. It's changing your cognitive function. It's changing the way you think about things so that you can be more logical and make better decisions. We need to unplug from the Matrix, whatever you choose to call it, for at least that amount of time and engage in real life again. Because the reality is, at the end of the day, for me personally, I can just speak for myself, I don't really care what's happening on TikTok. What I care about is my kids and being present for them and being present for my husband, my clients, my friends. I can't do that effectively unless I'm making sure to take time out for me first. It's kind of like putting the oxygen mask on for yourself versus taking care of everyone else's needs. I really argue that point in the book. We've lost our ability to discern what's real versus what's not. This will help, and I think help us resist the urge to kind of go down and think that there's, to your point, hundreds of people that feel one way when it's really 10. We're we're in a really dangerous time, I feel like right now, where we're going to lose the discernment over what's real and what's not because of AI and it flooding the different social media channels. The best thing I can think of to figure out what's real again is just time and nature.
Jess, I love the book.
Oh,
I love that you made this happen. I love that you're bringing this to people, and more importantly, overwhelmingly positive reception to the work you've been doing over the last 2 years. And thank God you just went past me looking at you like you were a crazy person and like keep on. How can people get this book?
So it's available to purchase right now on Amazon. You just look up The Wild Advantage. You can buy it there. I'm also going to be having a book launch party tonight. We're going to go party.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great. We're going to have a pizza truck and...
Any gluten-free pizza?
Oh, I should take care of that. Put that in your field journal for me to take care of. We need to order some gluten-free pizza. But yeah, I'm so excited to have the book out there in more people's hands. I just think it's going to help the world remember who they are again.
God bless you, woman. I hope it does. Thank you for coming in. We'll do it again.
Thanks for having me.